Hey guys and girls, welcome to Zilla Cabs. In this week's video we're going to take a look at some of Celestion's iconic speakers from their Classic Series.
Alright, the reason we're both smiling here is because we've been trying to figure out how to explain what we were doing. I consider the Classic Series, when I started this like 15, 16 years back, the Classic Series was mostly the Vintage 30, the H Anniversary, the Classic Lead 80 and the M Greenback.
Yeah.
And that was just before the Heritage series came out, before all the what we now call the creambacks, like the new creambacks, redbacks, what else? A lot of the Neo speakers, all that kind of stuff. So those four speakers were like what you'd call like a standard range. Like
yeah, so the majority of their speakers are within the Classic Series now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So the Classic Series now has got like the list like 20 names long, whereas traditionally it was like the four or five maybe.
So to explain, they've mainly got two series of speakers Celestion, haven't they? The Classic and the Heritage.
Yep.
The Classic is all their current designs and a few of their vintage designs, and the Heritage stuff is like special versions of
like faithful reproductions of old speakers, like the original greenbacks and that.
So what four speakers did we think of starting with this video with?
That was the classic Lead 80, the H Anniversary, the M Greenback, and the Vintage 30. Now this is the M Greenback's the one that everyone kind of just refers to as the Greenback. We call it the M Greenback because you've got the H Greenbacks in the Heritage series that just confuses the hell out of everyone.
So what we got, that's the 25 watt M Greenback.
Yeah, it's like
Classic.
the modern. They did used to make them in China. Now they're actually made in the UK as well, like the Heritage series ones as well, just to confuse things more. But these four are what I class as standard speakers. They all fit between that kind of, what would be 80 to 90 pound price range each.
All right, let's talk about the four speakers that we originally intended to just be in the video. We've got a range of power rating here, and we've got starting with the lowest is the M Greenback, which is
25 watts, and it's also quite a quiet speaker, so the sensitivity is relatively low. Traditionally, you'd find those in a lot of vintage British stuff. I really like it because it's a nice warm sound. It's kind of like a traditional rocky speaker, sounds great clean, but you do have limitations with your power there. Next up would be the H Anniversary, which is a 30 watt, but it's quite a loud speaker, so the sensitivity is it 100 dB, 1 watt 1 meter, so it's considerably louder than that if you put it for the same kind of signal from your amp. Again, it's
so what's the sensitivity of the
that's 97.
Right.
dB at 1 watt 1 meter, so it's a fair bit louder, this one.
Do you know how this speaker came about?
Well, I don't know exactly the anniversary, but I always considered this as speakers kind of evolved through the years. This is where the H ended up. Like it started in I'm going to say early 70s. The equivalent now would be the H Heritage, which they.
So this gets a little bit confusing. The classic name of a Celestion G12H is now given to like a bunch of different speakers, because of the way it's developed over time, and they've done anniversaries of the H and then made new versions of the H and then made new old versions of reproducing the old H.
It's super confusing because the H actually refers to the size of the magnet on there. But what happens is, it's like any Gibson with all their guitars, like say Les Paul for instance, or the Strat. You've got a Fender Stratocaster, but like a 56 is very different from a 76. So things change throughout the years, but they're incremental changes, and but the name stays the same, because essentially the difference between a 75 and a 76 is so little change, but through the years, so this is was the kind of the modern H, or as far as that's how I saw it anyway. But then since when I started, kind of early 2000s, they have brought out all the other H's.
Yeah. And just to confuse things a little bit more, we've added another H into this video, haven't we?
Yeah,
so,
the H creamback, that is the one that, I mean...
It's such a popular speaker these days.
Yeah, it mixes so well with so many speakers. And the power rating is great. It's almost, for us, taken out most of the sales of their H anniversary. And to the point where the reason I wanted to do this video is because I just don't play the H that much anymore. It's always the H creamback. So I was like, let's get that back in, mess around with it, and kind of remind ourselves of what we think of it. Vintage 30 is next up with a power, 60 watts. Everyone knows a Vintage 30. It's just industry standard.
Yeah.
Pretty loud speaker.
Been around since the 80s, I think, isn't it?
Yep. And it's... I don't know what to say about the Vintage 30. You just find it in everything.
Yeah, it's really popular from everything to like... You get it in some boutique amps and use it all the time for really heavy styles of music. So.
Yeah, it's really versatile. You can do most things with it. I used to mix it a lot with the H anniversary. But again, since the Creambacks have come out, that would only give you a 60 watt 2x12. Since the H Greenback came out, it's kind of killed that. So it'd be the H Greenback with the Vintage 30.
Yeah.
Classic lead 80 watts. When I first started out, 80 watts was almost as good as you got, really, as far as guitar speakers went with the power handling or the Celestion range. There were a couple of 100 watters, but they were more tailored for certain markets. So if you wanted a speaker that was like just a standard that you can use for most things with a decent power rating, that would be the one. Known for its articulation, fast lead lines and stuff. Joe did a video on it a month or two back, and
hope you've seen it.
Yeah, he surprised me when he said it was designed as a rock speaker, and then I looked into it and it actually was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. The second speaker we introduced was the G12-65, which is technically in the Heritage series, but just to confuse you even more, which you don't know, they apparently have a Classic Series version, which I've never played.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
So there's... So
I don't know. I've never played one,
right.
So I assume that was just a Chinese-made version.
Right.
Most of their Classic Series is made in the UK now, anyway.
So just to reiterate, the Heritage Series is faithful reproductions of older designs.
Yeah. So trying to get them as close to how they were made in the kind of year when they first came out, or when they're known from.
Yeah. So what about the character of all these speakers then? So we've got, let's start again with the greenback, the M greenback.
Well, if we're going to be crude, just lazy, quick descriptions, I just class that as warm, I'll say vintage British.
Yeah.
Which kind of just means...
martially, isn't it?
Martially. Yeah. But this isn't to say you can't do them for other stuff, but that's just... It's a really good way of kind of just a couple of words.
Yeah.
H anniversary. Well, I used to say kind of big and bold, but you're going to see later when we talk about the speakers, I think revisiting these because of the new stuff that's come out, we've kind of had to reevaluate how we describe them.
It recorded really well. In the room, it wasn't my favourite, I think. To me, it's quite bright, a little bit harsh maybe. Similar in character to a Vintage 30, but a little bit of a brighter version to me.
Yeah.
But that leads us on to the Vintage 30.
Vintage 30, I would just say really useful, kind of does most things. Bit spiky sometimes, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, it's got a strong upper mid character, isn't it? That sometimes
some people say they don't like, but I mean that may just be because something else in the chain is pronouncing that as well, so it just gets too much.
Yeah.
And classic lead 80.
It's fairly dark sounding speaker, isn't it? It's quite rolled off, which is quite nice for playing lead because it smooths off your sound a bit. So
I like it for I think the best word for me is articulate, in that when you play like a big open G, this sounds stupid, but it's almost like hearing 6 strings.
Right. Yeah.
Or 7 if you play 7 strings. But yeah, it's got a kind of. I still think it's got a nice openness to it.
Yeah. So what are the other two? The G12-65. I did an in-depth video on this that came out last week, I think, was it? Well,
Yeah,
it should be out by now anyway, hopefully.
yeah.
For me, that speaker really excels at sort of lower gain, larger cabs, open back sort of thing.
Yeah. I think very kind of, well, I don't want to say Dumble because I never played Dumble, but too rocky kind of stuff if you want to name a brand. Yeah. Open, big, plenty of low end, but useful.
And what was the other one? The H.
The H Creamback.
Yeah.
That
one's really shone, I think, in this recording.
Yeah, I think it has. Yeah, low end and a very useful top end as well, but without sounding scooped.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, cool. Well, we're going to get onto the speed. No, we're going to talk through the recordings now. What we thought of them. No, what's the point of saying that? Because they're going to be able to tell that we just started talking about.
Okay, right. I'll say so. So before we get on to the sound examples, I'll just explain a little bit what I did. I recorded 3 performances. The first one was just like clean kind of stuff on the Strat, and then I kicked on the Strymon Riverside overdrive halfway through. Then I did like a sort of heavy rock kind of bit of riffing. And then Paul asked me to try and shred, which I might have failed at, but hopefully there's a bit of lead guitar in there for you to listen to.
It's shredding for me. I think the reason we came up with this way of doing things is in the last few videos we've recorded like sections in certain styles.
Yeah, so our Creamback shootout, there's like a song, isn't there?
And we've reamped it.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do here is get Joe to introduce a bit more of the kind of natural, like flow of playing. So we started off with a clean sound, and then for the slightly dirtier sound, just kicked in an overdrive.
Yeah.
Which is how, like as guitarists, how we do it, rather than stopping. Yeah. And then redialing everything.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a kind of a natural flow to it.
That said, the same performance is played through each speaker though, so it just, well, you'll see now, it'll just chop between each speaker and it'll be the same recorded guitar part. So
yeah,
it's as if someone's just changing the speaker out while I'm playing along.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, ideally when you're testing speakers, you'd have an A-B box.
Yeah.
So or an ABC box. So you'd just be able to press a button and flick between the speakers quickly as you want them. So we kind of try to recreate that as well. 6 speakers is a little bit harder. So A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever box. But I show you'll get the idea. All right. So now you're going to hear the sound samples. We're just going to blast through them. We'll probably have a couple of words at the end. Just say the standout examples for us, which ones we preferred, and all that kind of stuff.
Enjoy.
So now you've heard all the speakers in the different styles. I think there were a few surprises in there for me. I'll say in this, I wasn't here during the recording. I think sometimes it's nice to be in the room to get. Sometimes you get a slightly different vibe in the room.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't invite you all in, so this is the best we can do with this. But I've got a soft spot for the greenback.
Yeah, it's such a balanced speaker, isn't it?
It is. I kind of feel I can use that for anything I can do anyway.
I think all those sounds there, it handled them really well.
The warm, the dirty, that kind of stuff. I'm going to say in this recording, when I'm listening back on laptop speakers, I don't feel the G12-65 quite shone through as I often find it. Does in the room. I think maybe that's because we used a closed back cab in this.
Yeah, so I forgot to mention the signal chain. All the performances are going through Mesa Boogie Stiletto 100 watt and then out into a Fat Baby cab with all the speakers in it, and
which is closed back.
Yeah, and then that's mic'd up with a Bayer M160 ribbon mic and a Shure SM57.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't, the G12-65, make sure you go and check out the videos we've done on the G12-65. That was in an open back cab, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, the in-depth video, it played it through the compact 1x12, which is an open back cab, and the Fat Baby. And in that video, I preferred it in the open back. And I think we traditionally prefer it in open back cabs.
I traditionally prefer closed back cabs, but with this speaker, it is a standout for me in an open back. Yeah. So maybe that was a little unfair in this. But I mean, I think that a lot of the qualities kind of come through, especially in the kind of lower gain, like slightly dirty sounds. H anniversary. Kind of the opposite of what I just said with the G12-65. I actually think I preferred it in the recordings a little bit more than I do in the room these days.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I think it recorded really well. A little bit brighter, so helps it project across in a recording maybe. But
H Creamback, I kind of loved in all of it. I thought he sounded nice and bold. There was lots of body there.
It was a bit like the greenback on steroids for me. That it's just still really warm and balanced, but just a bit more of everything.
I used to always call it like its big brother.
Yeah,
the greenback's big brother. So that's cool that came through. Classically Lady, I was slightly not disappointed with, but I didn't think it came through as it sounded a little bit more. I don't know. For me, the first word I said was damped. I don't know if that's the right
think
word.
Maybe a direct comparison isn't quite fair enough on the Classic Lead 80. Maybe it needs a bit more special tweaking, because it is a great speaker, but under these conditions it did come across a little boxy and dark to me.
It did, yeah. But so I don't know what that. I don't know if it again needs a more open, like an open back. But yeah, in these recordings,
I kept the mic placement fairly similar for all the speakers, just to give a fair representation of the change of the speaker. But maybe I could tweak a bit more with the positioning on that speaker just to get it.
Yeah, maybe so. Even still, I think it's one of those that is noticeably different on the recordings, isn't it? Vintage 30 it sounded like a vintage 30, just like a vintage 30. That came through exactly as I thought it would. Mm-hmm. Plenty in there to work with whatever style you play, really.
Yeah. But anyway, this isn't about what we think. We'd love to hear what you think. So
make sure you leave us a comment. Tell us if you've got anything you want to see. A lot of these videos actually come about from comments in previous videos. people want to see certain things. They ask us questions, and they're videos that we haven't thought of. So we love hearing from you.
Leave us your experiences. If you've got any of these speakers yourself, or you tried different ones out, we'd love to hear what you think about these different speakers.
Yeah, whatever combos, cabs, whatever. We don't care about brands, all that kind of stuff. Just let us know what you're playing. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Give us a thumbs up if you like the video.
Yep. Don't give us a thumbs down if you did. And yeah, tune in next week. I don't know what the video is going to be, but I'm sure you'll love it.